Welcome. Happy Sunday to everyone, and welcome to the WONheart Podcast. My name is Dale Kia, Dale like the computer and Kia like the car, but I affectionately go by Kia for short because people love to make my name what they want my name to be, okay? Like, people have added syllables, alphabet, and a little bit of everything else, instead of calling me what my mama named me. And so, just to make it simple for everyone, I go by Kia, and I am your beloved host of the WONheart Podcast. And I'm so excited to see you guys, talk to you guys, hear from you guys. Well, really for y'all to hear from me. But I have been waiting to talk to you guys. And first and foremost, I just want to say thank you to everyone who is listening, liked, shared, all the things, both on the podcast and here on YouTube. Of course, all of my YouTubers, thank you. And you are like double blessed because you get to see my face. Like, you get to see me. It is a real thing. I am really her, okay? But first, I just wanted to say thank you, and we're just going to get right into it. I was talking to one of my friends, and we minister to each other quite often throughout the week, and a topic came up about healing. And, you know, just us being in our brokenness and what that looks like. And I thought that I should just bring this to you all just to get your perspective, because I thought it was really good. And so we were just talking about healing and, you know, how we need to heal from our stuff. And I just started to think about the world, right? Because I am definitely the person who, my heart breaks for the world. Like, my heart breaks when I see bad news. My heart breaks for what breaks God's heart. And quite often we find ourselves in this place of brokenness. And so we try to, heal ourselves or get ourselves back to this place of wholeness, or get ourselves to this place of wholeness that we so desire to be at, whatever that place is for you. And I think it is important for me to tell you that you are not healing yourself. Like, a lot of people, we do this self-help books, we listen to the podcast, we listen to whatever we need to listen to in order to try to get ourselves or heal ourselves or get ourselves back to this place where we deem as healed and whole, right? And so while that is the goal and while that is where we want to be, it is important and imperative to know that you are not getting yourself there. What's happening is you're going to God and you're saying to God, God, I am so broken, or I am broken. I need your help. And I say so broken because a lot of people, their brokenness can be something small or something minute to one person, but it's really big to them. And so, God, I am so broken, or broken in this area, and I need your help. And I feel like that's important because we're putting this pressure on ourselves, saying, I need to heal, or I need to, get back to my wholeness or my fullness. And it's like, you're weighing yourself down with this pressure, with this mindset, with this idea that I have to do all of this to heal all of this brokenness. And while we may have caused the mess and the disarray, or life just be lifing, and we look up one day and it's a mess, and we're like, what in the world? Like, I can't even pinpoint what happened to get me to this place, right? And so you're going to God. That's the first step. You're going to God. You're putting yourself in that vulnerable space and saying, God, I need help. And that is hard for a lot of people because for multiple people, they have been told, or they feel like they can't go to God for something that they should already have, or they should already know how to do, or what they feel like, God is going to be upset because you're not doing it. For example, you go to God for peace, but a lot of people don't go to God for peace because they feel like God's like, you got yourself in this mess. You should have the tools that you need, and that's not who God is. That's why I often tell people and emphasize, you need to first learn the character of God. God is sovereign, yes, meaning he's powerful, but God is also gracious. God is loving. God is caring. And when you care about somebody, you care about them from the inside. And it's like you really have to first know the character of God, to know that when you're going to God, you're going to somebody who you can trust, to somebody who is not judging you, but who fully wants you to come in all of your vulnerability, saying, look, I am broken, this is a mess, and I need your help. And so whatever that is for you, or whatever you want that to be, that wholeness or that healing, you go to God and you ask for that. And so it's like we're not healing ourselves. We go saying, I'm so broken and I'm so lost that I don't know where to start. There's so many pieces of me that are broken. There's so many pieces of me that are missing. There's so much mess in the space. I don't know where to start. I don't know what to pick up first. I don't know what to tend to first. I don't know if I'm tending to my dirty house. I don't know if I'm tending to my anxiety. I don't know if I'm tending to my depression first. I don't know if I'm tending to my attitude. It's so much stuff that God, I don't even know where to start, right? And so we do that in that vulnerable space, going to God, and God being who he is, oh so sovereign, yet oh so kind, oh so caring, oh so loving. He gives us the tools that we need. He gives us the tools that we need to get to that place where we want to be, right? And so for some people, that tool can be the peace of knowing that God is. And so what that looks like is you've been going and going and going and trying to heal yourself and looking for the books and just all over the place, putting the pressure on yourself to heal yourself because you know this is not you in all your wholeness. And so you come to God, and God, first of all, is grateful and gracious in you coming unto him, right? And so God is going to say, cool, I got it. And you get that peace in knowing that God has it. And so you allow God to do what God does. Because a lot of times when we're moving around, we're trying to do our own thing to get us to wholeness. We're really in God's way, right? Like you're in the way. You're doing so much, God can't even move. He can't pick up nothing because you're trying to be Bob the Builder and fix everything. You're trying to be the tough woman and carry it on your shoulders. And it's like, God can't help you. You won't even let him. You have to remember, God is a gentleman. He is not busting down doors to come to your rescue and you haven't allowed him in. Like, even if you call the paramedics will come knock first unless they know it's a fire. But how do they know that? Because you called them. You told them that there was an emergency. They come, they kick down the door or do whatever they have to do to come to your rescue. They were notified. They were told. They were invited into that space. God's not busting down your door if you're not calling God, if you're not welcoming him, if you're not inviting him in. And so that is the first thing that you need to do. Understand that you can be vulnerable with God. And that is like a cuss word to some people, right? Like, we don't talk about being vulnerable. Like, we don't do that. But you really have to be open. You have to be vulnerable with God. Because when you're being vulnerable with God, you're being vulnerable and honest with yourself. Because we don't have it all together. No matter how hard we try, a lot of times we do not have it all together. And on top of that, when you're admitting your brokenness and you're allowing for God to move like he wants to, because the truth is, God is waiting. Like, he wants to move. I was told, or my pastor said, like, angels are lined up to come to our rescue. The problem is we don't ask. We don't go to God. We don't invite him in. Like, angels are aligned to release our blessings. Angels are aligned to come defend us. We don't ask. And so it's like we giving the angels a break. The angels chilling because y'all are not going to God and asking. And that's the thing. It's like you have not because you ask not. And it is very important to know that closed mouths do not get fed. God is not this mean person. God wants you to come to him and ask. You have all these blessings stored up in heaven that you have not asked for. Like, again, God is not just busting down your door. Like, you're inviting God in. He's seeing you do the work, whatever that is. And that is how the relationship builds. Because God is not a genie in a bottle. No, these things happen and reoccur because there's a relationship there, right? You pour and you water into that relationship like any other relationship. And so it's important to know the character of God in order to build a relationship with him. Because let me tell you something. Being in relationship with God is like no other. Like how I talk to y'all, I talk to God. When I am angry, when I am upset, I'm like, look. And I tell y'all that all the time. Like, I really go to God in that way. Because first of all, he knows anyway. He know I'm upset. He know I'm angry. He know how I feel. And so I'm just like, look, I don't even have to dress up and come to you in a, oh, blessed be. No, I'm mad. And if you don't do so, God, if you do not do it, it will not get done. Because if I do it, it's going to be a bigger mess. And so be vulnerable in that space to know that you are building a relationship with somebody who knows all of your dirtiness, who knows your whole heart, and he still loves you more than anyone on this earth can love you. God probably loves us more than we love ourselves, because oftentimes when we mess up, we condemn ourselves. And God is like, there is no condemnation for him that is in Christ Jesus. Like, we're condemning ourselves for stuff God's not condemning us for. And so it's like when you really learn the character of the God that you are serving, he is a father, and not just any kind of father, but he's a good father, okay? Like, he is going to answer his children. He is going, and just imagine, if you are a spoiled child like myself, like anybody would tell you, I'm going to go ask my mama. I'm going to ask my mom. And that's because I know my mom will help me. If I am in trouble, call my mother. Like if I am in need, I'm calling my mom. Like, because I know my mom is going to do everything and anything in her power that is needed to be done to ensure that I get what I either desire, what I need at that time, whatever it is. I know she's going to do it. So just imagine, like, and my mom, she's a good mom. Like, she alright, right? But God is a good father. So it's like that times two. Like, God gives me peace that my mom can't give me. Because trust me, girl be stressing me out, right? Like, God gives me joy that my mom can't give me. Because a lot of times I'm going to him about her. Like, God gives me understanding. He gives me wisdom. He does something to my soul, which is your mind, your will, your imagination, your emotions, and your intellect. God covers all of that. God knows my heart. He blesses me with miraculous things that my mom cannot do. But to use the analogy of somebody, whoever that is for you, your cousin, your sister, your good girlfriend, like, multiply that 100-fold. And that is the kind of relationship that you have in God. That is the kind of father, the nurturer, the caregiver, the peace giver, the healer, the sovereign one, the almighty one. That is who God is for you every day, all day, no matter what you did, no matter what you said. And so when we're trying to clean up and clear out the mess that we made, it is important that we understand that it is not us that is doing the cleaning, because then you know that you don't have to put that pressure on yourself to heal yourself, right? Or to make yourself whole. It's not us that's doing it, but that we are going and laying our burdens onto the Lord, therefore giving us less stress and more peace, making our shoulders a little lighter, okay? Like, just imagine the light touch of a feather. Like, that is how you should be when you know that you can go to God, because that is what he wants. He wants you to come to him. He wants you to cry out to him. And so I've been like holding that in, and I've been wanting to share that with you all because it is so important. And a lot of times too, we get to this place because we don't really trust God. And I've said this before, like, you trust that God is God, like but do you really trust God, right? Like, do you really trust the things that God said about you, that God said about who he is, that God said about what you can do in him and what he can do for you? Like, do you really trust those things? And it's important that you really sit down and ask, do you trust God? Because when you don't trust God, what you do is you test things out. And my pastor, he gave this analogy. He gave a couple of analogies, but it's like, he was like, you test things out. When you have marketers or a marketing brand, they do a test. And so they give two ideas, right? So let's say I did like WONheart or Victoria's Heart. And so I put it out there, and whichever one is more catchy, that the audience grabs better, I delete the other one completely, and I go with the one that wins. And we do that because we don't trust neither one. Because if you have to compare the two, you're not trusting neither one, right? And so when you fully trust God, you don't have to test. Like, you don't have to test him. But even God said, like, you can test me. Like, test me to see that it's real. Like, go to God. Go to God. Like, you don't have to test God when you know that God is who he said he is. You don't have to test God when you trust God. There's no test when you really trust him. There's no test when you really believe him. Because you know that no matter what, when you go to God, he is going to answer you. He is going to hear you. He's going to acknowledge his child. And he is going to help you in whatever way you need. And a lot of times is beyond what we could have ever thought or imagined. Because when God gives you peace, he gives you peace for everything, right? When God gives you joy, he gives you ultimate joy. When God sends you love, his love is ever abounding. Like, he speaks into you. He's not speaking down on you. God is not a mean God. God is not a punisher. And that is something that a lot of people need to know. Because a lot of people are thinking that they can't go to God because God's going to punish them. God is not a punisher. God is sovereign. He's loving. He's caring. He cares about you. That's what that is. And so I just wanted to share that with y'all. And of course, if you have any questions, any topics that you want to discuss, please put them down in the comments. I am more than welcome to answer them. We can discuss them on the next podcast. I love you all. Peace.